ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಹಾಂ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ ಈಗ ನೀವು
Welcome the challenges. Look for the opportunities in every situation to learn and grow in wisdom. With this, good morning to one and all present here. I am Dhanraj, Assistant Professor, CSC Department, EWIT Bangalore. With the blessings of Almighty, it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all for this one-day webinar on forensic crime detection, hosted by Department of Computer Science and Engineering, East West Institute of Technology, Bangalore. First, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to the authorities of EWIT Bangalore for their kind support. I would like to welcome today's speaker, Dr. Rajesh TM from Dayanand Sagar University, Bangalore, who have kindly accepted our invitation to share wisdom and insight in this event. I would like to welcome our HOD, Dr. Narsimurthy MS sir, who is the backbone of our department and who always inspire us. And I also welcome all the participants from various colleges for this event. With this, I conclude my speech by saying the function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence and character, that is the goal of education. Now I request our HOD, Dr. Narsimurthy sir, to speak few words on this webinar.
Okay. Thank you, Dhanraj. Good morning, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Again, good morning, everybody. Very warm, welcome to this webinar on forensic crime detection by Dr. Rajesh from Dayanand Sagar College University, Computer Science and Engineering Department. Today, you know that in the crucial situation of this COVID-19, we cannot, halt our learning. So learning always should continue. That is the objective and motto of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, East West Institute of Technology. So we are always in the forefront to organize webinars on the recent information technology trends, as well as the FDPs and maybe say seminars, symposiums, just to upgrade ourselves in the competitive world. In this context, we approached Dr. Rajesh because he is a known person to me from past 1 year, and he readily accepted our invitation and to be the speaker of today's webinar on forensic crime detection. And all the participants as well as my students also knows today only thing is permanent is changing. So changing is the only permanent. So we have to change ourselves with respect to learning the technology as per the trend, because I cannot say lag in the learning phase of our professional career. So this is the objective and motto, as well as that has motivated us to conduct so many webinars. I think if you take from past 15 days, we have conducted almost say 5 to 6 webinars in the artificial intelligence, machine learning, cryptography, then IoT, then there are so many other things which are in the pipeline. We are conducting on 13th the project management success. Then we have many more to come in the future. So the reason behind this is we should never stop the learning phase. So learning should always continue without any halt. So with this we requested Rajesh, and he readily accepted in his busy schedule, because they are working in a university setup. So definitely they have got a lot of work to carry out every day, even though it is COVID-19 situation. So I take this opportunity to welcome again Rajesh for this webinar, and I hope the webinar of 1 hour, 1.5 hour, 2 hour will be very fruitful, and definitely participants will have so many takeaways from this, so that those who are planning to conduct the research in this particular domain or this particular area will definitely get some idea, some input from Rajesh, so that they can start their research work and they can publish so many papers, so that it will going to help the community altogether, or put together. The community will definitely get a benefit, so that so we can come out with lot of research say ideas. So with this, I welcome all the participants again to this webinar. As well, I congratulate my team of computer science and engineering, the coordinators, Professor Dhanraj, Suprita, Ramya, Professor Chetana, then Anusha, coordinators, all the faculty members who are struggling to to conduct this type of webinars just for the benefit of community and the students. So with this, I conclude my words. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak in this occasion. Thank you, coordinators. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your motivational words. Now I request my colleague, Professor Suprita N, to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Rajesh T.
Good morning, sir. A very good morning to all the participants. I am Suprita, Assistant Professor, Computer Science Department, EWIT. Today it is an immense honor for me to introduce today's speaker and expert research person, Dr. Rajesh TM, sir. Sir is currently working as professor in the Anand Sagar College of Engineering, Bangalore. Sir has completed his PhD in Computer Science and Engineering from Jain University. Sir has 8+ years of experience in industry, research, academics, and sir's research areas include digital image processing, pattern recognition, video analytics, DBMS, IoT, software estimation, and many others. Sir is currently guiding 4 PhD research scholars in various computer science domains. Sir has also published one international textbook in the forensic crime detection domain. Sir also has many international journals and papers to his credit. We are very fortunate to have you here, sir. I'm sure the participants have a very nice session with you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam, for your introduction about Dr. Rajesh, sir. And now I request our speaker, Dr. Rajesh T. sir, to take over the session. Thank you, one and all. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Janraj. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dhanraj. It is my pleasure to give a thanks to Chief Patrons, Srimati Rashmi Ravi Kiran, Chairperson EWGI, Mr. Tejas Kiran Sir, Secretary of EWGI, Patrons Dr. B. Purushottam, Director of EWGI, Dr. K. Chennakeshavalu, Principal of EWGI, and the convener of this event, Dr. Narasimhamurthy MS, Head of the Department CSE, for providing a wonderful opportunity to share our knowledge in this event. It is my immense pleasure to thank coordinators of this event, Professor Dhanraj, Professor Suprita, and Professor Ramya, for giving me an assistance in technical support for this event. I also would like to thank all the dignitaries of various engineering colleges and research scholars and the students who have participated in this event. Also, I would like to thank the Anand Sagar University management for providing me an opportunity to enhance my knowledge by sharing with webinars like this. Thank you so much. Today's webinar is on forensic crime detection, hit and run cases, crime verification process. Okay, so there are two portions you can see here. One is forensic crime detection, another one is hit and run case verification process. Okay, so first I would like to give information on forensic crime detection. What is mean by the forensic crime detection? So forensic crime is also known as the criminalistics, so analysis of the crime which has happened. Okay, so it has the following purposes, that is 4 domains are there. So before explaining the 4 domains, I would like to explain about the stages in digital image processing and as well as computer vision. Okay, so in order to process any problem statements, we will be following few steps. The first step is data acquisition, the next step is feature extraction, after that one identification and verification. I repeat once again, the steps followed to investigate any processes or the problems. We will be following 4 steps. The first one is data acquisition, second one is feature extraction, third one is identification, fourth one is verification. Okay, so here the first point, in forensic crime detection, we will be working on securing and recording the scene of the crime. Okay, so recording the scene of the crime is nothing but data acquisition. We are collecting the data. The second point, collections and preservation of potential pieces of evidence. So we are collecting the evidences. So extracting the evidence is nothing but feature extraction. Next, establishing the identity of the criminal and victim. Okay, so here we are identifying the criminal or the victim is nothing but identification phase. Next one is production of valid expert testimony or to improve a crime has taken place. Okay, so here validation will be done, that whether the crime has really happened or not, whether the crime has been done by the so and so person or not. Okay, so next, forensic crime detection domains are fingerprint verification, retina verification, handwriting verification, face recognition, signature verification, video analytics, and accidental scene verification processes. So there are so many domains. Some of the important domains which are undergone all these days I have mentioned here. Okay, so in order to work with the forensic crime detection, pattern recognition plays a vital role because we need to extract the features. In order to extract the features, pattern recognition is the backbone of that one. Pattern recognition is the scientific knowledge of machine learning or computer vision that categorizes at patterns into number of categories. So these patterns we're going to extract and then we're going to use in training phase. We're going to train the machine and then in the testing phase we're going to start matching that one. The examples of patterns are object recognition, fingerprint verification, face recognition, etc. Okay, now hit and run case verification process. I have taken one real-time problem. First I will explain the real situation, that what has happened now. Okay, so consider that a person will be driving a car at high speed in a national highway or any of the roads inside the city. Okay, so while he driving, he will going to involve in accident, and what he'll going to do is, because of fear or some other factor, he will going to run away without stopping the car. Okay, so here police have to investigate this crime. Okay, so the problem statement is, if a person is driving his car in high speed and involves in a hit and run case in a sudden accident. Okay, so the scenario will be like this. There are very few evidences to identify him or her as a victim. There are no other sources to identify him as a victim. Okay, so pedestrians has given no small information, just like the car looks like red color and it is of a sedan type. Okay, and before accident there is one CC camera is there. After the accident, when the car moves for a few distances, there is one more CC camera. Okay, so but there is no CC camera in the place where accident has happened. Okay, so this is the scenario. Using this information, small pieces of information, police has to do investigation. Okay, so a normal investigation and based on forensic crime detection investigation, there is a vast difference between that one. In the normal investigation, what happens, based on the information given by the pedestrians, we cannot come to the judgment that this person only has done the hit and run case. Okay, so we have to undergo forensic crime detection. That means we have to adopt the technology. Okay, so the last point is explaining that before the accident there is one CC camera, and after the accident there is one CC camera when the car moves. Okay, so that scenario I would like to show you. So here one CC camera is here. Okay, the car has moved in front of the CC camera. Then here, after the first CC camera, that accident has happened. Okay, then you will going to pass through the second CC camera. Consider there is a distance of 100 meters in between the two CC cameras. Okay, so where that accident has happened, there is no CC camera there. Okay, so what police has to do is, they have to collect the two images, okay, from two CC cameras. First image from the first CC camera, second image from the second CC camera. Okay, so after that one, we have to undergo the process of analyzing the verification system. So there are four processes. One is image data acquisition, that is from the two CC cameras we are acquiring the two images of the same car. Why? Because the reason is very simple. In the first CC camera, before the accidents, there won't be any dents on the car. Okay, after the accidents, there might be blood color on the color of the car, or dents on the car. Okay, so these information we will going to extract. Okay, then we need to pre-process the image. That is, there might be chances of noise in the image, or too much of very size of the image, too much of big size, and there might be of wastage of spaces in the image. We need to remove all those things. Okay, then after pre-processing, we need to undergo feature extraction. That is, we need to extract the features. So the process of feature extraction is nothing but training the model, then verification and validation. Okay, so in the first stage we will be acquiring the data. In the second stage we will be pre-processing the photo, that is cleaning the images. In the feature extraction, we are extracting the features of the image 1, the CC camera image, CC camera 1 image. We will go into extract the features. Then we will go into extract the features of the second CC camera. Then we will go into match the features. Then we can identify that incident has happened or not. Okay, so first one is the pre-processing stages, image binarization. Because why we are doing the image binarization? Because dealing with the color images is very difficult in the image processing. Okay, so it is it is not that possible, but it is possible to work on that one. But black and white image or the gray color image, it is very feasible for us to extract the features very easily. That is why we're going to convert the image to binary image or the monochrome image. Then cropping based on the region of interest. Okay, so automatic cropping is the algorithm what we have developed to extract only the car model from the image. Okay, unwanted space we will going to remove. Then width normalization. Width normalization is used to resize the image. Say for example, we have extracted 10 images from the CC camera 1 and 10 images from the CC camera 2. Okay, so what happens when you apply the feature extraction algorithms on single image, you can work easily. But the same algorithm should work fine with all other 9 images also. Okay, so first image is of example 500 cross 500 size. Second image will be of size 250 cross 250. So what happens here, the algorithm which is developed for 500 cross 500 size image, we may not work fine with the smaller images. Okay, so the aspect ratio size of the images should be same. Then we need to remove the noises which are present in the image. What happens, say for example, the CC camera which is outside in the roadside will be exposed to the dust. Okay, so the camera lens will be attracted with the dust. So while extracting the images, there might be dust particles in the images also. So we need to remove those noise from the images. Okay, so next process is feature extraction algorithms. So feature extraction is commonly used phase in say a verification and identification process of any problem domains. So feature means similar characteristics, features of the images. Then extraction means accurately retrieve those features. So why we need this feature extraction? Because a proper feature extraction can increase the recognition ratio. Okay, some of the examples are height and width of the car, then connected components in the car, hierarchical centroid in between two images, Hoffline transformation, that is the scratches identification, then principal component analysis for x mean vectors and y mean vectors. So in this demonstration, I will be executing these algorithms, and I will be showing that how to extract the features. Okay, the last phase would be verification process. There are 3 types of rates we will be identifying: false acceptance rate, false rejection rate, equal error rate. So false acceptance rate means though the car has not involved in accident, falsely it will going to accept that it has involved. False rejection rate means though the car has involved in the crime, it is rejecting, the algorithm is rejecting that car has not involved in the crime. Okay, so equal error rate means it will going to take the average value of FAR plus FRR by 2. Okay, so that it will going to give you the accuracy of your verification process. Okay, so now automatic cropping is an example. So cropping is one of the most common tasks in image editing for improving the quality of the image. Okay, instead of manually cropping each and every image, we can automate the process to save the image, so to save the time. By running the algorithm of automatic cropping, the relevant output is as follows. Before cropping, you see above the car there is white space, and below the car also there is white space. After applying the cropping algorithm, you can see in the right side image that the unwanted portion has been skimmed off. The unwanted portion has been removed. Okay, so I will implement and show that one. First and foremost thing is I need to convert the color image to the binary image. Okay, so here I is a variable. That is the beauty of MATLAB. There is no need to declare any variables like in C and C++. Directly you can declare here itself only. So I is a variable. In the variable I, we are storing the value of the image. So IAMRead is nothing but image read, and inside the bracket I have written 4.jpg. In the left column here, current folder, you can see 4.jpg is here. Okay, so here two things you have to keep it in mind, that you can either write a path of the image folder, or you can directly write the image name. Okay, but there is one small difference between that one. If you want to write the path of the image should be in a different folder. When the image is lying in a different folder, there you will going to write the path. Say for example here, webinars, forensic, automated crime detection, then codes, pre-processing, RGB to gray. So okay, this is the path. You will going to write the path and you will going to keep. But here I have just written the image name because the image is lying where that code is available. In the same folder it is available. That is why there is no need to write the path. Okay, so rgb.m is the code folder name, and 4.jpg is the image where it is lying inside the folder itself only. Okay, j is another variable. So first what I have written, I is equal to IAMRead of 4.jpg. Okay, so 4.jpg is an image. All that image information is stored in the variable I. Then j is equal to RGB to gray of I. I is the variable that is consists of the information about the image. It is converting RGB, that is color, to gray image. Okay, this is the keyword used in MATLAB to convert a color image to gray level image. So figure comma IAM show of I is nothing but image show. Figure, why I have written, because it will go on to overwrite the information. Okay, that is why I have written 2 times figure here. Okay, that is the key feature. Figure comma IAM show of I is, it is going to display the first image, the original image. Figure comma IAM show of j is, it will going to display the second image. Okay, I'll execute this one. See here, figure 1, that is I, it is a color image, and figure 2, it is a black and white image or the gray level image. Okay, now after that one, I was talking about automatic cropping. This one, so the code goes like this: clear all, it will going to clear the output. Then IAMRead, I is equal to is a variable. IAMRead is nothing but image read. Then 4.bmp is nothing but the image which is stored in the folder. IAM show of I is, it will going to show the image of the original image, whatever you have read. I am creating one matrix m comma n is equal to size of I. So whatever the size of image is there, I'll be converting the values to m cross n matrix. So x is equal to 0 and y is equal to 0 is nothing but x-axis and y-axis where the image is fallen. Okay, so I1 is equal to I, because what I have done is I do not want to disturb the original value I. Okay, whatever the information is been stored in the original variable I do not want to disturb that one. So I converted all those, I transferred all those information of the original image to I1, duplicate variable I have created. Okay, so in C++ or C, for loop, how you used to write is, for I is equal to 0, I less than n, and I plus plus. But in MATLAB there is no need to write that one. Just simple you write, for I is equal to 1 is to m, it will automatically increment and it will automatically decrement. Okay, so m cross n is a matrix what I have created. So for this one, 2 for loops I am creating. For I is equal to 1 is to m, for j is equal to 1 is to n. Okay, then if I1 of I comma j, this I1 is the information what I have stored in the duplicate variable. Okay, I comma j is nothing but the for loop. It is checking each variable is equal to 0. So it is checking where the first black pixel. Okay, so for example, the car image you are taking, leftmost side where the black pixel is there, rightmost side where the last black pixel is there, topmost side of the car where the black pixel is there, bottom side where the last black pixel is there. So why I'm taking the last black pixel of a car? Because it is the boundary region. The remaining portion I can remove that one. Okay, so here I'm checking that one is equal to 0, whether it is equal to 0. If it is there, okay, move on. X is equal to x plus 1, y is equal to y plus 1, and store the value in the array. Okay, then you're going to end. If I have stated here if loop and I'm ending that one here, then second for loop, second end, first for loop, first end. This is how you will going to write. Okay, then what I am doing is minimum value of the black pixel and maximum value of the black pixel in both x and y coordinates I am taking. X1 is equal to min of array 1, y1 is equal to max of array 1 minus x1, because I need to subtract the remaining portions of the black pixels. X2 is equal to min of array 2, y2 is equal to max of array 2 minus x2. So what you have got is the topmost portion, the leftmost portion, the rightmost portion, and the bottommost portion of the black pixels you have got. Okay, then I will be applying IAM crop, image crop, that is the standard feature available in the MATLAB. Just you need to call the function, that's all. So IAM crop of I1 comma, I1 is the variable, duplicate variable where the information of the original image has been captured. Then x2 x1, y2 y1. So what are these x2 x1 and y2 y1? The last and the first black pixel, top and the bottom black pixels value. So this one it will go into minus, and then it will IAM show of p is nothing but whatever the cropped image it will go into show. So let us see the output. See here, this is the figure 1 is the original image. Above the car you can see so much of white spaces, and in front of the car also, backside the car also, down the line of the car also, so much of white spaces is there. So what happens here, the first image drawback is when you run the algorithm on this image, it will keep on running from left to right and top to bottom, the algorithm. Okay, so here there is no information. What is the use of running? It is waste of time. So in order to avoid the time constraint, we have to apply automatic cropping, so that in the right side figure 2, if you see here, only the topmost, leftmost, rightmost, and bottommost pixels you can see here. Okay, other white pixels have been removed. Okay, this is the advantage of automatic cropping. Okay, next is median filter I have used. So what is the use of median filter is, median filter is very good to remove both black and white pixels. Okay, so what I have done in this code is, I is equal to IAM read of 4.jpg. You know this one, image read, the original image. I have converted the color image to black and white image, that is RGB to gray. Then I am adding image noise. I am adding the noise called salt and pepper. Okay, salt is white color pixels and pepper is black color pixels. So both the pixels I'm adding into the image. The quantity 0.02 is the quantity of the salt and pepper noise. Okay, then metfilt2 is nothing but median filter function call, applying on the image where I have added the noise. Okay, so I'll going to show and the execution part. It is taking some time to execute. The code is running, maybe it is taking some time. maybe technical error. Let us wait for that one. Okay, so figure 1, I have added the noises, both white pixels you cannot see because the background is white in color, but on the car portion you can see the white noise. Okay, so here I have added both white and black pixels, that is nothing but salt and pepper. Salt is white pixel, pepper is black pixel. Then I have used median filter to remove the noise in that one. Okay, this is all about now removing the salt and pepper noises in the image. Okay, then I was telling about the resizing, because the algorithm should run efficiently on all the images. So in order to aspect the same ratio of all the images, we have to do resizing. Okay, so IamRead is the image of the reading the original image. IamResize is nothing but image resize of I comma 5. 5 is the size, standard size I have given. Then I'll be showing the original image and as well as resized image. Okay, so figure 2, it is big in size. Figure 1, it is very small. Then figure 2, it has become very big. So automatically it is resizing, it is increasing the size. Okay, if you want to decrease, you need to reduce the value, that 5 to 2 or 4. Okay, so boundary value feature extraction, that is what I'm considering now. First I'll execute this one, then I'll explain. Okay, so what I have done here is, in the original image the car is standard 1, and in the second image the boundary regions values I have taken. Here if you see in the command window, x1 is nothing but the starting portion value, y1 is nothing but the starting portion value in the upper side, x2 is 28, the last portion, then y2 256, that is the bottom portion of the image. Okay, so what why I have taken the boundary values, because if this car involves in accident, okay, the front portion will be dent, so obviously the value will going to reduce. So the original car image I'll going to compare with the accident car image. Then what happens, this consider this image is been taken in CC camera 1. Okay, so image 2 will be taken in CC camera 2. Image 1 values will be x1 x2 y1 y2 value will be something different. If the car is involved in the accident, x1 x2 value, y1 y2 value will be different, because their dent will be there. Okay, so this is one scenario I'm taking. If dent has not happened, then we have to see the scratches. For that one, connected component and as well as offline transformation we will be using. That I will be showing. Okay, so in forensic crime detection, we need to adopt various algorithms for all the scenarios. If dent has happened, this algorithms works very well. If the dent has not happened, we need to go with the scratches or the color. Okay, next, connected component analysis I will be using. Say for example I have taken one image. Okay, this car is taken in the camera 1, CC camera 1. Okay, before the accident. Okay, so the connected component regions in this image will be 12. It is showing it is 12 here. Okay, so after the accident, this is the original car image and this is the connected component. The difference you can see here properly. Okay, image 1 is the original car image. I have converted into the binary image, and the second one is I have calculated the connected components in the car. Okay, so connected components information, if you want to see, first I'll explain that one. So connected component labeling is used in computer vision to detect the connected regions in binary digital images. Okay, so this is very fast and very simple method to implement and understand. Okay, connected component labeling works by scanning an image pixel by pixel from top to bottom and left to right. So the parser, how it moves is from top to bottom it will move and left to right it will be moving. Okay, in order to identify connected pixel regions, that is regions of adjacent pixels which share the same set of intensity values. Okay, so this is what I have done. I will be changing the image. Okay, so this is the car which is that accident has not happened. Say for example, okay, I'll be showing two images. Okay, this is the car where that accident has not happened. Say for example, this is the car accident has happened. See the scratches here on the door side. Okay, here in this there are no scratches. Here the scratches are there which has involved in the accident. Okay, so for this two images, connected component should be changed. So the car which has not involved in the accident, the connected component is 12, and the car, I'll going to change the image name. Okay, so the connected components value you can see here. Okay, the value has reduced to 11. Okay, so you are extracting the feature of both. So training phase is the first image whatever I have done. There you have got 12 the value. Okay, this is testing phase. Okay, second time whatever I have done is testing phase. The first feature is the value it is showing 12, the second feature value it is showing 11. Okay, so obviously when the feature doesn't match, we can analyze that okay, this car might have involved in hit and run case, because image, the same car image which is taken in the first CC camera, after the accident in the second CC camera, if the image value has changed or the feature has been changed, means obviously it is understood that it has been involved in the crime. Okay, so this is how the forensic crime detection is going to help in technological way of understanding. Okay, so one more example I would like to show. So this one, by extracting the features like different features, you cannot tell that yes, this car is really involved in crime. Okay, so one more evidence I need to create. Okay, so for that one I'll be using hierarchical centroid. Okay, so hierarchical centroid is a descriptor, gets an image and computes the x coordinate of the center of the mass. So what it is going to do is we will going to divide the image into 4 parts. Okay, so first information we're going to get, and after that one again we will going to divide into 8 parts. So it is basically dividing the image into number of parts to extract the small features of the image. Okay, so what it is going to do, the grid used on the image 1, that is CC camera image 1, the car before involving in the crime, and the car after involving the crime, that is applying the grid on the image 2, CC camera 2, definitely it has to give us the difference if the car has involved in crime, and it should not give the difference if the car has not involved. Okay, so this is the image. I'll going to apply 4 grid, then I'll going to apply 8 grid like this one. So now more the number of grids will going to give you the more number of values. Okay, I'll be showing in the code how actually it works. Okay, so by running the source code of hierarchical centroid, we will get the output in 2 different form. If the image is same, the value will be 0. If the image is different, the value will be change. Okay, so what I have done is in the image 1, the car CC camera 1 and CC camera 2 I have taken. So both the images I'll going to compare. If there is no differences in the image, obviously the difference between image 1 and image 2 will be 0, just like when you keep hand on hand. Okay, so if the size of the image, if the size of the hand 1 and if the size of the hand 2 is same, the difference will be 0. Okay, so here second one what I have done is image 1 is different image, image 2 is the car which is involved in the crime image, so there will be a difference. In MATLAB, when we have implemented, see 2.bmp and 2.bmp, same image I'm giving as the input. So what would be the output? Obviously it will be 0. Okay, so I have applied the grid on this one. Here you can see the difference between image 1 and image 2 is 0, because I have given image 1, that camera 1 image has same image, camera 2's image has same one, which has not involved in the crime, so the difference it is showing 0. Now say for example, if the car is involved in the crime, that is what I was showing, no? this is the car 1 which is not involved in the crime, that is before CC camera 1. Then this is the car which has involved in the crime. So after the incident in the CC camera 2 it has been taken. So when you run this one, two images, you can see 0.004. There is a difference here. Okay, so what I have done is same. I'll going to plot the log. Depth is equal to 6. Why I have taken 6? Because that is the point where it is giving the difference value. Before that one it was not giving the difference value properly. After 6 also, if I put 7 or 8 or 9, it is giving the same difference value. Okay, so why I have to increase more number of iterations when I'm getting the same value at the point of 6? Okay, so I have stopped the depth value 6. 6 is nothing but the hierarchical center grid lines, whatever you are putting, the total number of grid lines you are increasing that one. Okay, so hierarchical centroid of the image 1, hierarchical centroid of the image 2, when you do the differences you will going to get the distance. Okay, so hierarchical centroid is used to identify the difference between image 1 and image 2. Okay, so this is one more evidence I'm creating. Okay, so boundary value I have taken. If the dent has not happened, boundary values will not going to help me. So then I took connected component analysis. Okay, if scratches are happened on the car, this connected component analysis will going to give me how many connected components are there in the car. Okay, so there also we found the differences. Then Hoffline transformation also, it was working fine. Okay, so hierarchical centroid I'm seeing here. Okay, so hierarchical centroid, whatever the differences it is giving in between the two images, if the car is involved in the crime, it will be definitely there will be a difference. If the car is not involved in the crime, there won't be any difference. Okay, then Hoffline transformation. Okay, so Hoffline transformation is a feature extraction techniques used in image analysis and the computer vision. The purpose of technique is to find the imperfect instances of the objects within certain class of shapes by voting a procedure. So I'll be explaining in very simple. So what happens here? Let me take the example. Okay, so here I'll going to take the longest distances lines here. Okay, the longest distance line in the car. Okay, but if the accident has happened, the distance of the x length and y length will be changed in this image because the scratches are available in this one. So Hoffline transformation will going to give you one more evidence. Okay, here you can see the dots. Okay, this is the straight line I am calculating. Okay, if there is one dent or scratch in the car here in this portion, it will going to give you the different value. Okay, so let me execute and show. So what I have done here is, this is the car which is involved in the accident. Okay, so here you can see the green lines on the black scratches. Okay, so the value of this one is distance 0.0039. here you can see. Okay, this distance value will be checking. Okay, so now I'm going to change the value of the car which is not involved in the crime. Okay, these values are changing. See here the output, that line is not there, the length is different in this image and the length was different in the previous image. Okay, so Hoffline transformation value, it will be giving different values here. Length, okay, length 7.0711 it is giving. For what? The car which is involved not involved in a crime, the value is 7.0711. okay, note it down, 7.0711. I'll going to execute once again. the value is showing 7.00711. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the value here. I'll be giving the input the car which is involved in the crime. So length 41.0122. Okay, you can see the difference. Okay, so here the length is different and here the length was different. So what I'm going to do is first image I'll going to execute the length value. I'll going to take 7.071. This phase is nothing but training phase. Okay, this feature I have extracted. Okay, how you going to store the values? Say for example like this. Okay, so this is data set 1, car 1, car 2, car 3, car 4, 5, car 5, car 6, car 7. So 10 cars have moved in that time. All the 10 cars images I have taken. Automatic cropping, that is boundary regions I have taken. Then connected component value, then hierarchical centroid value, principal component value, offline transformation value, height and width of the car value. Okay, so I'll be taking that one. Okay, so database 2 is nothing but the car which is involved in the accident. Okay, so the car which is involved in the accident, those 10 images I am taking. That values are different from the trained phase images. Obviously you are going to get the confirmation that, see here, car 11 value is 0.0398, so car 1 value is 0.420. Okay, obviously it has involved. If the values are same to same, then obviously the car has not involved in the crime. Okay, so that is how you're going to do verification process. For that one I'll going to come back later phase, verification, how actually it works. There is one more algorithm, principal component analysis. Okay, so principal component analysis is the statistic procedure. Okay, so that uses an orthogonal transformation. What do you mean by an orthogonal transformation? So orthogonal transformation which works on the vectors. Okay, so it will going to calculate the length and as well as the angle of the vectors in the image. Okay, so x vector and y vector I'll be taking, and I'll going to calculate the values which preserves the lengths of the vectors and as well as angles between the vectors. Okay, to convert a set of observations of possibly correlated variables into a set of values of linearly uncorrelated variables. So I'll be showing the examples. Okay, the car which has involved in this incident, the value will be different, and the car which is not involved in the crime, the value of x mean and y mean vectors will be different. I'll be executing. First I'll be showing an example of the car which has involved which has not involved in a crime. Okay, so please note down the value. X mean value is 2.4799, y mean value is also 2.4799. so this car is not involved in a crime. 2.4799 x mean and y mean value. Let me check with the car which is involved in a crime. So 2.3632 and 2.32, because there you can see the vector value is changing because of the dents which has happened on the car. Okay, so all these values you will going to store in a database. Okay, that you are going to train both the images values you will going to check. Okay, after that one you will going to do the verification and validation purpose. Okay, so for the purpose of performance evaluation of the object identification and verification system, usually we will be using three types of error rates. That is, FRR is nothing but false rejection rate, FAR is nothing but false acceptance rate, ERR is nothing but equal error rate. Okay, so the definition goes like this. Usually the system should not be too sensitive, and it should not be too rough also. That is, it should not be too coarse also. It should have an acceptable trade-off between a low false acceptance rate and a low false rejection rate. Okay, so FRR is equal to number of original images rejected for number of original image tested. Okay, that means to say how many times, though the car has been involved in a crime, how many times it is rejected though it is involved in a crime. Okay, so this should be low. Then FAR is nothing but how many times it has accepted though the car has not involved in a accident. Okay, equal error rate is the average value of FRR and FAR, which will going to give you the accuracy of your uh, model. Okay, so this is the slide of a data set whatever I have taken for different types of algorithms, automatic cropping or height and width of the car, then connected component segment. So these values I'll be comparing with the testing phase image values, then you're going to get the linear values. Okay, so till now whatever I have done is I have taken on image purpose. Okay, here I have worked on image to image. Okay, the drawback of this work whatever I have done is I need to keep on working on single images. Okay, so it would be better if we work on the video purpose. So a video is nothing but a group of images. Researchers or students who are interested can carry forward this work for the video analytics. So this is an image analytics under the computer vision itself only, and machine learning we have implemented. For the video if you work, it would be a great enough thing. Okay, thank you so much for listening to the presentation with patiently. Dhanraj, it is over to you.
ನೀವು ಕರೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿರುವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯು ಬೇರೆಯವರೊಂದಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಕರೆ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿರುವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯು ಬೇರೆ
ಹಾಂ ನಾನು ಮುಗೀತು, ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನು ಫೈನಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಹಾಂ, ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ, ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಥಿಂಗ್. ನನಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಟೆಂಡ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಹಾಂ, ಏನಂತ ಕೇಳಿದೆ.
Hello.
Yeah, Dhanraj, I'm here. Yeah.
Sir. We have some queries from audience side. Just I'm going through. I'll go through some of the queries, sir. The question number 1, which is from Dr. Surya Narayana. The question is like the images are in 2D. If the dent is in 3D dimension, how would this algorithm detect?
Okay, so what I'm going to do is that is what I told in the end, that I will be taking only the 2D images as of now, because a video is a group of images. I'll be dividing the video into slices, number of slices. Say for example, a video consists of 100 images and the accident has happened in between 30th to 40th slide. Okay, so I'll be taking those 30th to 40th slide images only for extracting the features. Okay, so what I told in the end is, if we work on the video itself, that is 3D format, it is more useful, because there the 3D format will be working with the rendering part, not with the 2D image part. 2D image part is extracting the values of x coordinate values and y coordinate values, so it is only 2 dimensions. If you want to go with the third dimensions, that is z coordinate comes into the picture. If you want to consider x, y and z coordinates, you need to work on the rendering part. Again, it is a different domain in the computer vision. So in this webinar I explained only about the 2D portion.
Okay, sir. Thank you. One more question, sir.
Yeah.
Can the process you have described made dynamic, so that the rate of change of pattern can be determined?
Yes, definitely, because research is not in one dimensional. Definitely, it is a very good question. We can alter the algorithms, and as well as we can use different types of patterns as well. So for my knowledge and for the resource whatever I have carried out, this was giving me an accuracy of around 97%. And definitely, if any other patterns and any other dynamic algorithms are there, if they use and if they get 100%, it is most welcome kind of thing.
Okay. Thank you, sir. One more query.
Yeah.
Can you quantify the dimensions of scratch?
Yeah, that is what that connected component analysis, it was giving you the total number of connected components in the image. So image 1 is a car which is not involved in a crime. Okay, the connected components may be around 13 in that one. Okay, so the quantification of the scratches in the image will going to change as the car involves in the crime. Okay, if the accident happens, definitely scratches will going to come on the car and the connected component value will going to change.
Okay. So we have one more query. The query is like, has the algorithm been verified against actual measurements?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Please come again.
Has the algorithm been verified against the actual measurements?
Exactly. The actual measurement value will be different and the car which is involved in the crime will be different. So we have taken some of the real time examples only, and we have verified on that one. So but the camera position, that only drawback is the camera position should be same. Then only the dimension of the algorithm will going to give you the same values.
Okay. Okay, sir. That's it from number of the queries which has been posted by our participants. Thank you, sir. It
Thank
was
you,
a
sir.
wonderful session. Now I request our HOD sir to speak about this webinar.
Hello. Good morning again, everybody. Good afternoon. I think it's 12 o'clock. Are you able to hear me, Dhanraj?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can.
Yes. Okay. Dr. Rajesh, thank you very much for your valuable time in creating an awareness in forensic crime detection and how it will be done, the process involved. And really, it was a fantastic session for the people who are really interested in taking up some kind of research work. So I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Rajesh for spending his valuable time in his busy schedule, and at least giving some sort of inputs to the participants, because my 6th semester students are also in the webinar. Actually, they were there as part of the webinar, so we have invited them also. So definitely they also got some idea such that they can take up some project in their 8th semester in the next academic year. So this was really a wonderful session. I again thank you very much for your time, as well as I thank all the participants who have listening this webinar patiently. And I take this opportunity to congratulate all my fellow colleagues who coordinated the event very well. They interacted with Rajesh frequently before the commencement of this webinar. Professor Dhanraj, Chetana, then Professor Suprita, Ramya, and the forum coordinator, Professor Anusha, Manjunath. Everybody have put their hard effort in making this webinar a reality, so that at least we are from the East West Institute of Technology and the Department of Computer Science. We are always eager to give some sort of say a knowledge sharing session to the community altogether, so that everybody will be benefited out of this. So again, we are so many things in the pipeline, as I told in my welcomes address. So definitely all the participants to take part actively, so that we will do something at least to upgrade our knowledge. So thank you very much. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Now I request my colleague Professor Ramya to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, one and all. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Ramya I.M., Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, EWIT, deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks to all who have helped us in making this webinar such a resounding success. First of all, I would like to thank our distinguished speaker, Dr. Rajesh TM, for making this event more interesting and meaningful. Thank you, sir. I also wish to express my gratitude to authorities of this organization for providing encouragement and support. As no program can become successful with a single person, so I extend my special thanks to our beloved HOD, Dr. Nasimamurthy MS, for his moral support and guidance, and also giving us an opportunity to organize this event. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to thank the coordinators, teaching and non-teaching staff members for making this webinar a great success. Finally, the wonderful students who have turned up in such a great numbers and their active participations in this event. Thank you so much, dear students. Once again, I thank all for your cooperation. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Professor Rajesh, I'll talk to you later. Professor Rajesh.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you, sir. It is my pleasure, sir.
Thank you very much again. Thank you very much again. We will look forward for some more, webinars.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Yeah.
Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
हाँ धनराज. ಹಾಂ ಧನ್ರಾಜ್. ಹಾಂ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಹಾಂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಬಂತಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ನೈಸ್ ನೈಸ್. ಹಾಂ ಹಾಂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಾಯ್ತು. ಹಾಂ 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 ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. ಹಾಂ ಹೌದೌದು ಹೌದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಇದು. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಯಾ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಆಲ್. ಹಾಂ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ. ಇಟ್ ವಿತೌಟ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ವುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. ಓಕೆ. No problem, no problem. No problem, no problem. Okay, 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 okay. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah. ಹಾಂ ಅದೊಂದು ಇದೊಂದು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೆ. ಹಾಂ ಓಕೆ ಓಕೆ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ ಹಾಂ ಹಾಂ ಓಕೆ 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 ಹಾಂ ಓಕೆ 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 ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.